All right, today is Friday. And you know, I found a funny post, and of course I had to post it because I love jokes. And it said, don't blame the lazy people. They didn't do anything. But you know, in the 187th, we're starting our own book club for the 187th. So our first book is Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders. And they say it's a unputtable downable thriller with a breathtaking twist. So we're reading 16 chapters. We need to have 16 chapters read by Monday, but they're very, oh, no. Deputy Laura assures me it's a quick read and they're very small chapters. It's not where it's 80 pages per chapter or something. Yeah. So we're going to see. All right, I'm going to call the docket. When I call the docket, let me know you're here. Fabian Cardenas. Christopher Trinidad is in custody. Juan Morales.
I'm here, Judge.
All right, we'll see where he is. All right, thank you. We start up our jury trial at 9:30, so if he's not here, we'll have to do it between a break.
And I don't even have the paperwork from the state yet anymore.
Okay. Aaron Alvarado. Thank you. Rayanna Martinez. Kang. How do you say your first name? Anun. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I had someone in law school and I finally realized the spelling that's Win. And so I was trying to figure out what to do with the N. I didn't know if it was silent or not. And then we have Roger Saucedo starting at 9:30. Yes. Thank you. You're not due till 9:30. All right. If you are ready to approach, just have the clerk pull the file and we'll take it up. Just 1 second. Okay. All right, everyone, just give us a moment. And I'm going to get the state here. And then probation will be right back.
No. I know, I got my dad.
All right, Deputy Laura. Diana, should we get a team together for the 187th for pickleball? It seems like everybody's doing that. I have no idea. Is it like tennis?
Game for old people. I'm just putting.
Oh, well, that's
what I mean. Don't do it.
Hey, I'm in the twilight of my life. You know, they say Steffi Graf is not playing.
What is it? It's a game for old people.
I think
It is a mixture of ping pong and racquetball.
But in tennis.
Well, they play pickleball.
The only reason why I've never done it is because there's a place called Chicken and Pickle and they have food and adult beverages.
Okay.
I have never done it and I never will.
Oh, that's what you say. But if the 187 challenges you.
It's basically
I say you
Giant
guys are
ping
older
pong.
than me.
I will go. My knees won't.
tennis court
Ah.
size ping pong table. Just
Yeah.
think of it that way.
Well,
What's
for
stupid rules? You can't play in the kitchen.
Yeah.
What's the kitchen? Doesn't have a sink. What the heck?
John Morales, Judge Morales's thing that they do every year, which is fundraiser and they do Family Feud. I've been asked to join their Family Feud team. It's supposed to be criminal district judges against civil judges.
Okay.
So let me just tell you, people have better be practicing because we're winning this thing because we don't want to make y'all look bad because if we lose, y'all look bad, not us.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah. Name, what is it? 5 things that how someone apologizes to their wife.
No,
Bam, flowers.
You
See,
don't.
I'm on it. I'm ready to go.
we don't.
You don't know how? Come on.
Sue's
Do
got horrible. I don't wanna
you
say-
just grill?
I don't ever want to say I'm sorry because I don't want to admit anything.
Like pulling teeth.
Oh, it's pulling teeth. Pulling teeth.
An Italian order from Germany that was modified previously in Florida. But I figured it's a German language, so I'm just like together.
I'm just kidding.
How is it this time of year? Well, I thought I went this time of year.
It was good. Rome was fun.
Oh my gosh, you were in Italy?
Yeah, that was the last stop was Rome, and it was about as hot there as it is here, but they don't have good air conditioning, so it was got off and saved it.
But they have a lot of trees. So how was
I foolishly left my hat
Oh, no.
and yeah, I was out.
and no sunscreen?
I start off the day with sunscreen like every day. That's part of the shine.
Yeah.
But you have to when you're this exposed and you have no natural shade. But yeah, I got sunburned. Like,
Oh my gosh. So where did you go in Italy other than Rome?
that was it. The trip was really about Germany.
Oh, how was Germany?
Family. But then we was like, well, we want to do another country other than just Germany. So we hit Rome.
I loved Rome.
Yeah, it was good. There's too much information to absorb in the time that we were there. Like there's just like so we did hop on hop offs in a couple cities. Like it's like Berlin was like calm and easy and cool and like we're here, blah, 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 and you get a little music, and get some time to slow down, take some pictures, all right, and move on to the next, part of note. Rome, it was like in here, blah, 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 and there, blah, blah, blah. Like there's just so much history and so compact, like you're like, wait, what? Who? There's too much information.
Well, let me just tell you, when we did the trip for Italy, some people were rewriting history, right? Because people are standing up for the country. So we're at the Colosseum. And this guy who's from there, he said, you watch the movies. This is not like in the movies. People who fought here, everybody who fought here to the death wanted to fight to the death. And we're okay. People wanted to fight to the death. And so he was hilarious.
Only because they wanted to get out of bondage, and that was the way to do it.
Yeah, he said no.
But, okay.
He said, no, these are just workers like you have here today. When you come into court, people wanted to be there. Thank you.
What I also didn't realize is, so I learned a little bit about when I was there, that it's not really called the Colosseum, but they started calling it that. What used to be.
Because of Russell Crowe.
Well, no, what used to be in front of it was the Oculus of Nero. And so, and I forget what it was called, like, and you can still see the sign like written in Latin, on what it's actually called. And it's named after some of the family name of the emperor who actually had it built. And so eventually, because of the Colossus that was out front, that later got torn down because of it's Nero. It eventually kind of started calling it the Colosseum, and just about what it used to look like.
Can you
During the
imagine?
Renaissance, they basically repurposed things, so they stripped all the marble that was on the outside.
Well, you know what I found amazing when I went there is that you have this history, and then on the top you have apartments. It's just wow.
But you see, that's the thing that I didn't like. I was like, everything was so jammed in.
Yeah.
I felt actually, I truly felt claustrophobic. Like all around. I was like,
It's really bad.
But
I used a lot of information
Yeah,
mentally.
it's too much.
I don't like the thing where they say, do not flush tissue down the toilet.
Eyes, final eyes.
Yes. But I had went.
There was ice where I went.
One year I went with Jamisa. So Jamisa knows how I am. And whenever there's a restroom, Jamisa would go in first. And she would say, Stephanie, the restroom is okay, but you can't do it. And I'm like, don't you tell me what I can't do. So I walked into the restroom. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hold it. I'll pass.
Yeah,
But I absolutely loved it.
my wife's cousin is a flight attendant for a charter service that transports troops. So she's like all over the world. And she warned her, she goes, a lot of times there aren't toilet seats in Rome. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
So my daughter was like, what?
What? Yeah.
But we actually lucked out. Every restaurant we went into apparently had a toilet seat.
When
Except
we-
for one I went into was broken and sitting next to the
Yeah.
toilet.
When we stayed there, because we did Florence, Venice, and Rome, and the year that we went, our hotels were actually former monasteries.
Oh, wow.
And the monks are living great because my hotel room at one of the monasteries was huge. All right, so are you ready on yours? And that is Kong. Could I see Kong?
You guys are. Oh, stop. It's a great deal. It is a nice.
He would do that all the
It is not a great.
All the
it is-
time.
It's a very good, that's a good straw.
All right, let me have them give me the file. And could I see the file on Kong? Oh, you did. I can tell it's gonna be a fun Friday. All right, and counsel, I'm sorry, you're on this side. No problem. All right, so we are going to go on the record. Hank, are you available?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the court is calling 2023 CR 1869, State of Texas versus Nung Kung.
Yes.
Yes. And could I have the parties announced for the record for the state
Hank Wilkins for the state, Your Honor.
defense?
Clarissa Pratt for the defense.
And are you Mr. Ng? Kong?
Yes.
Yes, all right. All right, so the court is in receipt of a motion to modify conditions of deferred adjudication supervision. Your client is asking to remove to Thornton, Colorado and Adams County. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and why is he asking to move?
So his nephew is gravely ill. He's taking over the family business, their seafood sushi business in Colorado. And so that's why he's asking.
Okay, all right, and probation, how has he been doing on probation?
Gunnar, he's did his anger management class, his parenting class. We gave him credit for the community service hours due to the completion of the parenting class. It's been on since April 24th. He's been reporting regularly. There's been no issue.
All right, and is he still with the complainant or no?
No. Judge, this was an injury to a child case with his daughter, and it was reduced to a class A misdemeanor, and he's had no contact with his daughter. She's in CPS care.
Okay, all right. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you speak up, okay?
Okay.
All right, if you can state your name for the record. All right, oh, you can lower your hand. All right, so when are you, or when would you be planning to move to Colorado?
So right now is ICU in my nephew, so if I get like as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow, but next week, yeah. They release this health right now, so as soon as possible, so I'm to.
Okay. All right, and what experience do you have in the restaurant business? I'm always curious.
Oh yes, I'm doing like the tip and hibachi Japanese restaurant. It's called like in front of people cooking. So I do like this. I do like almost 9 years, and my friend he had to open the San Antonio restaurant. I help him right now. For we're running like almost 2 years in the restaurant right now.
Okay. All right, thank you for letting me know. And counsel, have you confirmed that he's needed in Colorado?
I'm not sure no, my office is not called Colorado, and I'm not sure if they would accept him. Like that's really what we really wanted to know from probation, is if Colorado would accept.
Okay.
Judge, I've just spoken with Michelle from probation. So what she's proposing is we give him a travel permit to go up there and see if he's accepted up there. But with the understanding that if he's not, he's got to come back.
All right.
Your Honor, and if he's able, we can put him on virtual recording. We do have a virtual officer that we can put him on virtual recording until acceptance.
Okay. All right. And probation, were there any issues with drug testing with him at all?
I was actually just looking that up. There's nothing notated in the system, but it's in a second, I'm gonna get into the drug test.
All right, thank you.
There's a drug test, middle,
Mhm.
we don't have any tests.
All right, so I'm going to need you to do a drug test today, okay?
Okay.
All right, so this is what the court will do. The court will grant your order to transfer. However, until that's approved, you'll be allowed to travel to Thornton, Colorado, and Adams County. You will have to report monthly by Zoom while you're there. You understand? Now, when I UA you today, what is the results going to be? Is it going to be clean?
Today,
Yes, the drug test.
yeah, I'm clean.
Okay, all right.
What means your analysis?
Analysis.
Like, repeat.
Repeated, right?
Yes,
Sorry.
no problem. All right, is there anything else you need?
Where would you like him to complete it, in the civil side or?
Oh, no, they're going to do it right here.
Okay.
All right, is there anything else, State?
No, ma'am.
All right, so these are the court's instruction. One, I'm granting your motion to transfer, but technically you will not be transferred until Colorado accepts you. So what I'll do is I'll allow you to travel to Thornton, Colorado, and that can begin today, your travel permit to go there. And I'll keep it open-ended, but you'll have to report at least once per month virtually to probation here. You understand?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any questions about my instructions?
No, thank you so much for giving me permission.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I know everything is, I don't believe in putting bad things out in the universe. So I know everything is going to go well with your relative. All right. All right. And counsel, if you need a copy of this probation, I'm sorry, the clerk will give it to you. You're
They
welcome.
would be excused except for my client.
Yes. Thank you.
Judge, may I approach?
Yes. Oh, no. We just have a couple of things that are on the docket. And Carl Alexander's waiting for plea paperwork on his client.
I've got it, Judge. I've signed it. We're waiting for my client.
Ah, okay, thank you. Okay, sure. And Carl, have you called his bondsman maybe?
We have a number for him, but I'm texting with my receptionist. She's called and he didn't answer. So I told her, call again.
That means he's driving. He's responsible.
Maybe.
It would be Aaron Alvo.
Alvarado?
Rayanna Martinez? Rayanna Martinez. Okay, yes,
Aaron Alvarado, Your Honor, I had to note about reappointing him.
yes,
Is that what we're wanting to do that this morning?
yes.
Excellent. We can do that.
All right, and then the other thing that's, there's an issue with Christopher Trinidad. His attorney has not shown.
Okay. Who's the attorney on that?
Raphael Leal. Yeah, you're welcome.
Judge, on Reina Martinez,
Yes.
she's supposed to report to County Court 12 to plead.
Ah, thank you so much.
There's no plan.
Oh, there's Mr. Leal. We say 9 o'clock, he says 9:20.
Perfect.
No, because we're starting trial at exactly at 9:30. So what that means is you're going to have to be back during one of our breaks.
It's all right. It's my client.
He's right there.
All right, thank you. Oh, Dinah, which room number are you in?
What was the-
6. Ah, okay, thank you. Yes. Oh, it does? Oh, that's me. I'm in the room.
which one?
Oh, I had no idea either.
Judge, I do have other courts. I know you're starting up at 9:30.
All right.
I have the paperwork. So with your permission, take off and I'm staying in contact my office, see if he shows up or not.
Yes, but just have him,
If he
you know,
does,
come
I'll
back during the break because,
That's what I was gonna say. If that's okay, I'll go with the paperwork with him if he shows up and we'll just have to wait for when you take a break. If that's okay. with you.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. They're not here, are you? Okay. Hello, hi. Hi.
Francis.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
Now it makes, I bet I saw it. Chicken dinner, what is it? It's good. No, we don't have the same taste. No, this one I kind of picked it out. Oh, please. So take them. Yeah. Yeah. File. Like the ones I've looked at. The application, I can do that's notepad, that's
Oh, I didn't know you were an expert. Now I'm going to come to you all the time, Diana. You know, I just learned how to move the taskbar to different locations. And I had to Google it because my task bar disappeared. I'm like, where's the task bar? And Jessica, we're just waiting on the jurors. All of them are not here yet.
I hope we can also wait a few minutes for my trial partner, because I don't know where he is.
Oh, yes, we will wait for him. See how everything happens for a reason. The jurors are running late, so, and your partner's not here. Hey, but most importantly, your client is. No, that's what I said. I said, most importantly, your client is.
Maybe Diane was like, "Ooh, Jessica can cross this witness. She'll be slow."
And Caroline, I'm saying something to the printer. All right, thank you. Yes. Oh, thank you. That's rare in this court. Thank you so much for coming to testify. It's all right. Well, I mean, it's the truth. Isn't it rare?
The test is water.
But I will tell you, I knew he was going to be negative. But before we transfer people, we have to have them tested. Hi, so were you able to get attorney for Mr. Alvarado? All right, is she on her way though?
We don't have anybody.
The reason why I say that is because he's been in custody for a while. So there's no one who's available today to speak with him?
Yeah, I can't hear her.
All right, just if you could, and then just so that he'll have some contact with someone, because I know his attorney was sick
Yes.
and it's just that he's been in custody. I don't want him sitting there that long.
Okay,
But if need be, we can recall it for Monday.
okay. I'll talk to you right now.
Okay.
You could go ahead and recall him for Monday and I'll get the attorney right now.
All right. Mr. Alvarado? The manager assigned counsel is going to speak to you, but we're going to recall your case for Monday. We're going to recall your case for Monday. All right. And managed assigned counsel is going to let you know who your new attorney is. All right. You're welcome. Yes, thank you. They're here. All right, we need the defense counsel. I know because his attorney, Juan Morales. Right, not now. You can turn it over to this trial. Do you know where Mr. Gonzalez is?
He said he was at the office printing some stuff out. I'm asking for an ETA.
Yeah, tell him his ETA should have been 9:30 because the jury's here.
I'm getting my bed and stuff stretched. I did not tell them to come in line yet.
Oh, you,
They're doing it on their own.
well,
Yes, because it's Friday. Oh, those are our people. Those people are ours.
Jason Hank or either Michael Villarreal, who will be handling this cruelty to non-livestock fight?
It's the wrong type of kids.
But he works for some place called Cape Fox. I don't know what Cape Fox is. I don't know if you all want to look into that.
We'll look it up real quick.
All right, thank you. Jessica, I'm hoping his office is across the street.
He's at the cathedral, so yes. it is
Okay.
across the street.
All right, if you, Mr. Saucedo, if you want to take your seat.
It looks like it's a instruction phone.
Okay,
I mean, it's not like a livestock.
okay, All right, 'cause-
Or something. No, I think it's fine
okay.
for his work, yeah.
Oh, and do you know? So was this? What type of animal?
I haven't looked at it, I'd like to look it up.
All right, if we can know, because I don't know if they have conditions that he's not to own
Okay.
any pets or.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Okay. Oh, and state, if you want to have your witness retake the stand,
Yes, Judge.
thank you.
Just one moment, I'm just gonna go upstairs. I forgot one of my legal pads that I was.
Sure. Hello.
Oh, you are.
And Deputy Laura, you can take, I believe, Mr. Alvarado back. And then Mr. Leo Klein, if you just put him in holdover.
Judge, can we get the court to complete on Mr. Fabian Cardenas, which we called him yesterday?
Yes.
So I've reviewed, it's part of the allegations are new number one, but I'm having Bashan supplement the motion. Due to the, he doesn't believe that it's a serious offense, but there's a new allegation is. I don't want to overstate, but the allegations are at least very serious on the new number one.
So are you all are going to be able to proceed on this today or no?
The state has indicated to me that they intend to amend this. So, you know, I don't know what the state would.
Oh, when are you amending?
Bashan's creating it right now to add an allegation of possessing a firearm. And so I don't think we can still talk with him a little bit more, but I don't think it doesn't sound like we're gonna be able to resolve.
All right, he can go into holdover. And Mr. Leal, you'll have to be back during the break. All right, yes.
But I can talk with him a little bit more, but from my understanding, I don't think the things that I have offered him doesn't sound like we're.
All right, so if you all will go ahead and do the amendment, and then one of our breaks, which will probably be 10:30-ish, if you all can come back at that time.
Very good, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, I need a trial setting.
Yeah, I'll see you back during one of the breaks, Mr. Leal. Your client will be in holdover.
What time, Judge?
Whenever we have a break, probably 10:30-ish. Yes. Okay.
Very nice.
No, okay. Yeah, because I don't know anything about it. You know what? I know you all say you approve, but this destination throughout Texas.
Yeah, I didn't know how you wanted to phrase that. It's a sort of, I thought it'd be more so like he notifies his pretrial.
All right.
wherever he's going.
So I know you're not an assistant, but if you could call Mr. Locke and let him know whenever he wants to bring his client in, that we can hear this and I'll hear the travel.
Okay, I'll shoot him. I think I have his email. He just emailed me something, so I'll email him to come before.
All right, thank you. And
Thanks.
tell him to have his client present.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Good.
It's Friday. How can you not be
Oh, I
doing
know.
great? Yes?
Is it possible? A jury charge that PDF, it's not letting me convert to it, so I can't even print it out. That somebody print it out in the back.
Yes, let me have them do that. Yes, it's this one, actually. And you can give her that one.
Oh,
Hi.
I gotta mark it up.
Oh, that's fine.
Did you want me to print you out another?
Yes, please. And I'll send it to you. Does anyone else need the jury charge printed out with them?
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna forward it to you, Caroline.
You want to just make a copy from this? Before I write?
Yeah, I think I would as well.
All right, thank you. And so because it's a work in progress and we don't want to kill too many trees, I don't need one for me. But if you'll print another one for the state.
Okay, and then.
No, not her.
Oh.
Not until we have the final.
Okay,
Yes.
this one.
Yes, thank you. All right. All right. Court is calling 2019 CR 7466, State of Texas versus Roger Saucedo. Can I have parties announce? Oh, no, it's fine, Jason. We're not gonna go. I just want to make sure that everybody announces on the record, and then the jury doesn't have to wait in the hallway. So this is just an announcement. All right, 2019 CR 7466, State of Texas versus Roger Saucedo. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Hank Wilkins for the state, we're ready.
Defense?
Leo Gonzalez, for Roger Saucedo, we're ready.
And are you Mr. Saucedo? All right. All right, so the jury is in the hallway. Is there going to be anything that needs to be taken up with this witness before the defense cross-examination begins?
I don't think so, Your Honor.
All right. All right, we can go off the record. So Daniel just wanted to run upstairs to grab something.
You
Oh, he should be back.
think so?
Yeah.
Okay. That one I gave the ETA is not here now.
Oh, okay.
And state, I do believe last time you all had passed, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor. They had.
And you're still under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we are. All right.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, I'm assuming everyone found parking okay. All right, you're still under oath. And we, I believe, are on cross-examination defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. Proceed.
Yes,
Detective Mondragon, I'm Leo Gonzalez, represent Mr. Roger Saucedo. If you don't understand any of my questions, or you don't, I'm talking too fast, or you need to have me re-ask the question, just let me know, okay?
Yes.
Now, Detective Mondragon, how long have you been a detective with the San Antonio Police Department?
So I'm not currently a detective. I'm promoted, so I'm a supervisor, I'm a sergeant.
How long were you listed as a detective?
Oh, it'd have to be an approximate, I believe I promoted in 2016. And then I promoted again in 2020, so approximately 3.5 to 4 years.
So for 3.5 years, you were a detective?
Approximately, yes.
And what unit were you put in when you were made a detective?
So I spent some time, and I couldn't tell you exactly how much time. I spent some time on the street as a uniform detective. From there, I went to the night investigators unit. And after that, I went to the special victims unit.
And so you went to the special victims unit after the night CID, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when you're promoted to detective and you're assigned a unit, particularly like the night CID unit, what kind of training are you given in handling cases when you're going out to a scene?
So when we promote, we initially go to a week-long training that's put on by the department for all new detectives. And in that training, we touch on several different units, what they do, and including crime scene,
several of the other major units come out and talk to us during that week. After that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
After that, you go to your assignment. So from there, you have to interview to get picked for specific units, which is how I ended up on the night investigators unit. So going over there, you kind of take all of your experiences from patrol, and you bring that with you, because everything that you've done before is just knowledge. And you'll spend, I can't be exactly sure how much time, I think maybe it was over the course of several weeks. I was assigned to work with one of our more experienced investigators on the night unit, and then from there, I was on my own, but you're never technically on your own because you work closely with other investigators from all different amounts of time. And so your training is just ongoing, the same way that just growth in general as a human is, you just learn as you go.
Okay. And so one of the important parts of being a detective, especially in night CID, is how to question somebody who's potentially a suspect.
I would say so, yes.
Okay. And so what kind of, I guess, tools are you given in order to, what you believe is, do a effective questioning or interrogation of a individual?
They're not all going to be linear. Not every investigation is going to be done the same way. They're not going to be all questioned the same way. Different circumstances would take different methods. And then just the person in general doing the interview will play a role in that.
Well, tell me what kind of methods, though, you typically do use. I know they're not always the same, but what are some of the methods that you use?
Can you be more specific on what you?
Well, I just want to know what you've been taught, the methods that you've been taught in order to question somebody. So what would those be?
I've seen interviews done calm and collectively. I've seen them with a little bit of pressure. I've seen them done with both. I've seen them done with multiple investigators where one person will conduct one portion of it. The second person will conduct it a different way. I've seen it done
That's
where
the old good cop, bad cop, what people would refer to.
I mean, I don't really want to classify it as that. I think it's just different methods.
Well, aggressive and calm, I guess you would say, in your manner between another fellow officer.
I mean, if those are the terms that you want to describe it as, yes.
And so you had another detective in the interrogation room with you during Mr. Saucedo's interrogation.
Based on the interview, yes. The interview that I watched, yes.
And did you decide to have that person come in, or did that person just interject themselves?
I couldn't tell you. It's been too long.
So next thing you know, you're the person that originally has been talking to Mr. Saucedo, and then you have a second person all of a sudden in there, correct?
Based on the video, yes.
Now, one of the methods, and it seems like we saw this in some use, is to kind of redirect an individual to answer your questions, not give them the opportunity to tell what they want to say. Is that correct?
Yes, I would use that method to ask questions, yes, to get elicit information, yes.
And what's the purpose of doing that?
So that the person I'm interviewing would know what information I'm asking.
You'd agree with me, that's a little frustrating for somebody who's trying to provide answers.
As far as,
Somebody's continuously interrupting what you're trying to say. That would be somewhat annoying.
it may be for you, but I can't, I mean, that would be difficult to say that that is for everybody.
If it happens continuously, it may throw them off as to what they're trying to describe. You would agree with me, right?
It's a possibility,
Okay.
but it's also a possibility that it may not.
Are you trying to lock them into a particular story at that point?
I'm trying to get the most accurate account of what,
Or object to non-responsive?
Overrule.
Let me just rephrase the question. Are you trying to get a specific answer to questions at that point?
As far as what happened out there, yes, if I ask a question, I'm attempting to get an answer to that question.
If you don't feel like the answer properly explains what you wanted to explain, you're gonna go ask more questions, correct?
I may or may not, depending on how the interview is going.
How much training have you done in doing interviews?
I couldn't give you a specific number of interviews that I've had or specific training that I've had. Based on my recollection, it would be what I described when you asked me about the training several minutes ago.
So a week training? And then
I
over
can't be
experience?
specific. I mean, I can't give you a direct answer as far as I've had this many trainings before I did this interview, or it's a collection of time and cases and working next to people that have done other amounts of training. So if you're asking me, have I been to specific trainings and done specific amounts of interviews before this one, I can't answer that because I don't keep a tally of that.
So basically, you've learned from watching other detectives do interrogations.
Among other ways of learning, yes.
But that would be the majority of the way, because you can't say you've gone to specific training for anything like that.
So yes, the answer is yes, but also my own personal experience in dealing with people all the years prior to going to that unit.
Now, as a night CID person, you're responsible for making sure that certain evidence gets collected.
As much as possible, yes.
And because you're basically in charge of the investigation at that point.
So I would not be the person in charge. I am called out there to attempt to navigate as best as possible. But I'm not the ranking member on scene at that time.
The ranking member, is that somebody who's going to be actively involved in the investigation?
It doesn't have to be. It could be someone from the patrol unit that is not my direct supervisor, and it could be someone from the crime scene unit who is a supervisor, who's also not my direct supervisor. It could be other people.
Now, just to be clear, when we saw the videos from the scene and at the back at headquarters, you were directing people what to do, where to go, what to collect. Don't collect this yet. You were in charge at that point, right?
I wouldn't say that I was entirely in charge, but I was out there to help direct and facilitate how things would go. Yes.
Nobody else was given those instructions other than you, right?
Instructions to what?
As to, hey, don't grab the gun until we have her sign off on the request or permission to search. You were directing them as to what to do and how to properly do it, correct?
I did in that specific instance, yes.
And what evidence to collect, where to look for evidence, because you had seen, I guess, some indication of evidence in the back. Right?
What was the question?
You were directing them what to collect, where to collect it, where else to look.
Yes, I did do some directing and collecting evidence. It's important also to remember that the preliminary investigation on scene doesn't produce every amount of evidence at that time, and that other things could be found over the course of the time that they're there.
Now, you watched the body worn cam that was entered into evidence yesterday, right?
No, sir.
You did not. Okay. So when you're collecting your report, and you did a report, correct?
I did a prosecution guide, yes.
You did a prosecution guide, and the prosecution guide would include what normally?
Can I reference the one that I have here?
Well, I guess what is a prosecution guide?
It's going to be a report of, depending on what stage the investigation is, it's going to be a report of possible witnesses, victims, suspects, crime scene, and any available information at that time. At the time that I completed the report, that's what the report will show.
Okay, so do you ever go back and look at the body cams in order to help you in your investigation or decision-making?
Okay, so the body cameras that the officers have and have had, into
I'll
my
object to
knowledge.
non-responsive at this time.
All right, that'll be overruled.
I guess my question to you is, do you ever watch it? Yes or no?
In reference to this case or just in general?
In general.
Yes, I do watch body
Did you
camera.
watch it in this case?
I could not at the time I completed this report because it had not been downloaded and available for me to watch at the time.
At a later date, did you go back and watch it?
I did not because this report was completed and turned in the night of the incident. It was forwarded to the follow-up unit.
And so,
So at that point, my involvement in this case was at most complete.
and so you, at that point had released yourself from any further investigation of this case.
As far as that night, yes, because we would not typically go back and investigate something that we had done the night before, which is why we forward what we have collected at the time so that the follow-up investigators can pick up from there.
Now, as a night CID detective, based upon your investigation, you will take people into custody and arrest them on that night.
No,
Never?
no, not never.
Okay, so there are times when you arrest somebody.
There are circumstances where, yes, we do.
And what are the circumstances in which you would do that?
Admissions.
Okay.
And the available evidence at the time of this portion of the investigation.
So, I mean, what's necessary for you to make an arrest?
It could be a number of things.
Well, isn't there a certain threshold that has to be met?
Again, yes, admissions and the available evidence at the time of the interview and at the time of that specific investigation.
So are you aware that you have to have probable cause to make an arrest?
We have to have evidence for making the arrest, and
so let me ask you this. You have admissions, you have evidence. In this case, you saw that, you talked to Mr. Saucedo, you had an admission that he actually had shot Zachary Specs. You didn't make an arrest that night, correct?
that's correct.
You said you completed your investigation that night and forwarded it over to someone else. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you still have your report in front of you?
I do.
What did you say, I guess, in the final line of your report?
And I'm gonna object to hearsay, Judge.
All right, if I could see the report, the court doesn't have a copy of it. Yeah, just give me a second. All right, objection is overruled.
What did you say, ma'am, in your last line of the report?
The report will be forwarded to homicide for further investigation.
Okay, prior to that line, what did you say?
And again, I'm gonna object to hearsay.
All right, I'm going to sustain your objection as to the witness reading from the report.
Okay. Can you go ahead and refresh your memory as to what it said in that report?
The whole thing or that
The
final?
the second to last line.
I was unable to determine.
Excuse me, just one second. He has to ask another
Oh, okay.
question. No problem.
Now,
Counsel, you may
after,
ask your question.
thank you, Your Honor. After refreshing your memory, what do you recall putting in your report?
That I was not able to determine who the suspect was in this case. And that he was released and listed as a suspect.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, state.
There's a portion of your report also that
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, if you could speak up.
Sorry, Judge.
That's
May I approach?
Yes.
So you didn't have all the evidence whenever you made this report.
It's safe to say that I did not, in this case, have all the evidence when I completed the report and forwarded it for investigation.
Now, I want to direct your attention right here. It's some of the information for the victim. Now, is there any evidence in regards to the victim that you would not have had at the time when you made this report?
Yes.
What was that evidence?
Well, I can't be entirely, I mean, I can't say for sure that this is what it was, but it could have been information for other statements taken, and it also could have been information that at the crime scene wasn't seen or collected by me specifically at that time.
But it could have been other evidence that would have then added to it that you did not have at the time.
Yes.
For example, if there's any type of scientific testing that's done, would you have that immediately available?
No.
So if there was scientific testing done in this case, you wouldn't have known that whenever you spoke with the defendant.
That's correct.
And so if that later came to light, that could have influenced what someone would have done with the case in the future.
Correct.
Object, Your Honor, caution speculation.
All right, that'll be overruled.
You can answer the question, ma'am, if you can.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
So that other information could have then influenced someone's decision in the case in the future.
That's correct.
And whenever you were interviewing the defendant, were you trying to lock him into a specific narrative that you had in mind?
I would have liked to get the best explanation for what happened from him, yes.
Did you get a good explanation from
I did
him?
not.
And you left it up to him to tell you what was going to happen or what happened.
I gave him multiple opportunities to explain, and when I questioned some of the inconsistencies, he could still not fully articulate and provide answers to a lot of the questions that I had.
Did you get a chance to speak with his mother?
Based off the report or based off of body worn camera?
Based off the report.
I believe that the statement was taken by Detective Remmers.
So at the time, you didn't also have that information as well.
I may have or I may not have. We typically would collaborate towards the end of an investigation. But to say that I had all of it, I can't say for sure at this point in time.
Pass the witness.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Well, you put it in your report that Detective Remmers took Rose's audio statement, correct?
Give me just a second. Yes.
Okay, and you had put in the report also that he had spoken to Mr. Specs at the hospital?
Yes.
Okay, and that at any point do you start looking for 4 Hispanic males?
At any point, did I start looking for 4 Hispanic males?
Yes.
No.
Okay, but that was information that was given to you as to possible suspects, correct?
Let me check the report. So based on this report, Detective Remmers contacted Zachary at the hospital. And by then, we may have been removed from the scene or we may not have. And again, this information may or may not have been relayed to me at that time.
But you put it in your report.
Yes.
Okay. And so at no point, though, did anybody start looking for 4 Hispanic males?
Not to my knowledge, but again, I've only seen a small portion of the video, so I can't say. And again, that was just prior to coming in here today, so I can't say for sure that anybody else at the scene was looking for 4 Hispanic males.
Okay, and in regards to the questioning that you did of Mr. Saucedo, you've indicated that it wasn't accurate in your opinion.
It wasn't accurate based on what he was telling me, and it wasn't amounting to some of the evidence that we had seen out there.
Okay, so at that point, you didn't necessarily believe the story he was giving you. Correct?
I did say that in the video, but after this much time being removed from the case, I can't say that that's exactly what I thought and or believed at that time. It
Well-
also may have been interview tactic as well.
Well, I guess my question then is, based upon the questioning, how you described it, you didn't think it was enough where it was enough to arrest him at that point because you didn't believe it.
Because I didn't believe it.
Right, like, he's told me he shot him. He's told me he shot him. He shot several times at the area. He's admitting to it. But you didn't think you had enough evidence at that point to make an arrest, even though you had an admission.
Yes, because evidence can come in at any time, at any point in the investigation and change things. So at that time, I believed it was a fair decision to allow the case to move forward and allow more evidence if there was going to be more evidence come into play.
Because at that point, you still thought he has a viable self-defense claim.
Objection, that's calls for a legal conclusion.
Sustained.
Well, I guess at that point, you felt like what he described indicated he may have done something that wasn't inappropriate.
Objection, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
You didn't feel it was enough to charge based on what he had told you.
Objection, calls for legal
It's
conclusion.
not calling for legal conclusion, Your Honor. This is based upon her own investigation and what she's already testified to.
All right, that objection will be sustained.
You didn't want to arrest him that night, did you?
I felt like it was fair to allow the investigation to accumulate more evidence if it was possible, and I did not make the arrest.
So yes or no, you didn't want to arrest him that night.
Objection, asked, answered.
Sustained.
What other evidence were you waiting or you hoping would come in that allow for an arrest?
Again, all the investigations are not linear, so I'll just point out some of the other things that go into play as far as crime scene. But there is a GSR that can be conducted, and I believe in this case it was. I don't personally collect all the evidence out there at the scene, so CSI comes in and does their portion of the investigation. All that can lead to more clues, evidence, indicators. And it was also important that at the time, the victim with the gunshot wound had not been fully interviewed and had provided a solid account of his incident as well. So though that may not be everything as far as what I think can influence a case, but those are some of the things that might come into play at a later time.
Now, you didn't do the GSR testing, did you?
CSI would have done that, so no.
Okay, and so you have no idea what happened with the GSR?
No, because again, we conduct
That's
the
the
preliminary.
question is, did you know or not?
Okay, what was the question?
Did you know what happened with the GSR or not?
No.
Have you ever been involved in a situation where you felt the need to pull your weapon?
I'm gonna object to relevance.
Overrule.
Go ahead, you can answer.
Yes.
Did you have to make a snap decision as to what was necessary to protect yourself?
It depends on where, what the circumstance would be. So it would be difficult for me to answer that as just a blanket answer.
Well, I guess in the instance that you refer to, that you had to pull your weapon, did you feel you had to make in an instant decide you had to take action in order to protect yourself?
I can't think of a specific incident in that I can absolutely go to and reference. I can say that I have taken my weapon out of this holster before and had to point it at someone, but I have never been in a position where I've had to shoot, if that's where you're leading.
Have you ever had to be a part of an investigation where somebody had to shoot an officer?
As far as a criminal investigation?
Yes.
I can't recall.
In those instances where you've had even just pull your weapon, do you remember everything linearly throughout the entire event? As you've described here?
It would depend on which specific incident you're talking about, but I can't answer that question without saying that they're all the same, like every incident is the same. I have done administrative reviews of officer involved shootings. But not criminal.
And so in those investigations, those reviews, even your own, you would agree with me that not everything that you remember or that's retold is always told in a linear fashion.
And I'm gonna say objection calls for speculation,
That'll be overruled. Any other objection?
hearsay, and relevance.
That'll be overruled.
You can answer.
Okay, can you repeat the question?
In your own experience that you've described in your review in IA, as you've described, have you things that are retold that you remember are not told in a linear fashion, correct?
I think that's a fair yes.
And so if it's not told in a linear fashion, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's untrue, correct?
I think that's fair to say yes.
So on this night, what you were doing with Mr. Saucedo was just part of a method of interviewing. You would agree?
Yes.
Because you did believe him.
There were a lot of circumstances that led to the final decision.
So you didn't believe him.
I think it's the most fair thing to say that I didn't have everything available at the time to make the decision to make the arrest. So whether I believed him or not, and whether it was my opinion or not, the evidence wasn't solid at that time. Could it have been at a later point in an investigation? Yes, and that was why I chose to make the decision not to make the arrest.
And so you didn't know either way.
An
That's
objection
correct.
calls for opinion,
I'm sorry,
calls for legal conclusion.
sustained.
You just stated that you didn't decide to arrest because you couldn't decide either way.
And objection calls for legal conclusion.
That'll be overruled.
That's correct?
That is correct, but it's also
That's all I
important
need
to
to know.
know.
That's correct, right? That's the answer.
All right, so everyone, the court reporter has to take down what everybody is saying. So if you all talk over each other, it's not going to be taken down. And I'm able to see everything that the court reporter is writing in real time. And so it's not being taken down if you're talking over each other, because you can't take down two people at the same time. All right, so you may answer the question.
Your answer was, it was correct, right? You could not make a decision that night because you weren't sure.
But that wasn't my final answer.
Well, I guess
I have
that, my
not
question is yes or.
Stop.
Your Honor,
Can I have parties approach?
I'm gonna object to that.
Have everybody approach. No, everybody approach. All right, so whenever you see one of the attorneys stand, that means they have an objection. So once they stand, just stop talking. I know sometimes it's difficult for people if they haven't been in a courtroom on a regular basis, but when either of the attorneys stand, just stop talking, because that means that they have an objection. All right, you may ask your question.
Yes or no? At that point, you could not make a decision because you were not sure.
I believe that there was more evidence that
Our
could change.
objective witness being non-responsive at this point.
All right, that will be overruled. You can answer.
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excuse, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. All right, thank you. All right, state, call your next witness.
State calls Zachary Specs.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, if you will keep your voice up so that the court reporter and the jurors can hear, and if you'll state your name for the record.
Zachary Specs.
All right, state.
Zachary, where do you currently live?
I live in central San Antonio.
And is it okay if I call you, do you prefer Zachary or Zach?
Zach.
So Zach, I want to take you back to June 28th of 2018. What was your occupation back then?
I worked for Deansfield, landscaping business.
And how long had you worked there?
I worked there for about close to a year.
And where were you living at that time?
I was living at 5913 Fairgrave Street.
And how long had you been living there?
I've been living there for a few months.
And were you familiar with that area?
Sort of, yes.
And Zach, you're not looking at me. Is there a reason why?
I don't know where you work or you.
So it's straight ahead. Can you see, Zach?
No, I have blurred vision on my left eye.
So are you legally blind?
Yes.
Have you always been like that?
No.
Back on June 28th of 2018, were you legally blind then?
No.
So I want to talk to you specifically about that day. What were you doing on that day?
I just finished doing some flower day jobs after work. I was on Fairground Street on the backside to unload some soil that was left over.
And are you aware, were you allowed to do that?
No,
So you shouldn't have been doing it.
no, sir, I shouldn't have.
So what vehicle were you driving when you were doing that?
I was driving a white Ford Ranger.
And had you had that car for a little bit of time, a lot of time?
For about a few months.
And when you stopped to unload the soil, where did you stop? Do you remember?
I stopped on the right side of Fairground Drive, where street. Where the grass is, right near the creek.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I mean, just mark it, put something on. It's sticky. Yeah. Just sticky to cover.
Zachary, I'm showing you with the North States Exhibit number 41. I know it might be difficult, but can you take a look at this? You recognize it?
Yes,
What is it?
this is the street.
Can you
I mean,
speak into the microphone?
This is the street.
And how do you recognize that image?
How do I recognize it? Cause I was here.
You're familiar with the area.
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
And is that a true and accurate map of the area?
Yes, this is very accurate.
And have you marked this map?
Yes,
Okay. And what marking did you make?
the blue mark,
And what was that blue mark supposed to indicate?
where my truck was parked at.
Your Honor, state what offer states is number 41 in evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit number 41 is admitted without objection.
Zachary, can you hand that back to me? Thank you. Permission to publish?
Granted.
Zachary, you're telling the jury that you had an opportunity to take a look at this map earlier,
Correct.
and that blue mark indicated where you parked that truck.
Yes,
So you parked the truck there and you started unloading soil from the back. Did anyone come out and talk to you?
I don't know, I just heard yelling.
So you heard yelling. What did you hear someone yelling?
The person said, hey, you get the or get the beeper right away from here.
You can cuss, Zachary. It's tell the truth.
I'm sorry. Get the fuck away from here.
And did you get a good look at this person?
I did. I briefly looked around and it was like I was long hair and a shirt on.
And did you talk with this man?
No, I just told him, hey man, I'm just finishing up cleaning my truck. I just finished working. I live around here. And I turned back around.
What did you continue to do?
I continued to sweep my truck.
And how long did you do that for?
Probably got a few seconds, and then I just heard someone, or heard the guy come back. And, hey, you thought I was playing, and I just heard gunfire or gunshots.
Now, are you familiar with gunfire?
So,
But did you hear a loud noise?
yes,
And what did you believe it to be?
gunshots.
And when you heard these gunshots, where were you?
I was still in the back of my truck.
And what did you do when you heard these gunshots?
When I heard those gunshots, I tried to run to the driver's seat
And why did you have to run to the driver's seat?
because the passenger side was blocked.
And so were you able to get into your truck?
Yes, I was able to.
And what did you do when you tried to get inside your vehicle?
When I got inside the vehicle, I was to try to shut the door, but it was shooting at the window, and it was shattered.
And were you able to start your truck?
Yes, I was able to start my truck.
And were you able to drive away?
Yes,
Did you have any difficulty in starting your truck?
no, I did.
And when you started to drive away, did you do anything in response to this gunfire?
Yes,
What did you do?
as the guy continued to shoot, I reached behind my seat and I grabbed a weapon that I had.
So did you have any other weapons?
No,
So how many weapons did you have in that truck?
so I had a weapon, but well, it was two weapons, but one was it was not a real weapon. It was a blank shooter.
Why did you have a blank shooter?
And it was something I collected.
And were you supposed to have those weapons?
No, I was not supposed to have,
Why were you not supposed to have those weapons?
because, I was, I had a past felony.
So you were not allowed to possess firearms.
No,
Did you ever shoot either weapon?
yes, I did fire one of them. The one that was real, and I fired it multiple times to try to get away or try to get him to scare him off others.
And were you able to drive away?
Yeah, then I was able to drive away there,
Now, were you able to get far?
not too far,
Why is that?
because I fell out of my truck.
Why did you fall out of your truck?
I started feeling a little dizzy and realized the blood loss.
Now, when you fell out of your truck, where did you fall?
I fell on the ground and rolled over.
Were you able to get up?
I tried to get up, but I fell back down and just laid there.
And in that moment, did you believe that you were going to die?
Yes, I was.
And from that point on, do you remember what happened?
I just heard a young lady crying and on the phone with the EMC or with the emergency.
Did you ever, sorry, sir, did you ever speak with officers at the scene? Do you remember? What do you mean by not fully?
I just remember them saying, stay with me. Stay with me, man. That was good.
Now, Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
And approach the bench?
Oh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you all a 15-minute break. There are just a couple of matters I need to take up outside your presence. So I'll have you all lined up outside at 10:45. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, and before we take this matter up, I just have a couple more cases to take up. So,
How long is the break, Judge?
oh, just 5-10 minutes. If y'all want to go
5
use the, yes,
Do you need to use the restroom? Okay.
all right. And what is happening with Christopher Trinidad? What's the file on Christopher Trinidad? Oh, to the advocate?
Rose?
Well, no, did y'all, Hank, did y'all want to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Judge.
No problem. All right. Is. Oh, Jason. Yes. And Deputy Laura, are you able to bring out Christopher Trinidad? Oh, can you bring him out? All right, Mr. Leal. All right, do you have all the discovery on this case?
Yes, sir.
All right, State, can you do an acknowledgement of discovery?
Sure.
All right. State, were you able to tender an offer?
I have not conferred with Mr. Leal at all today.
All right, Mr. Leal, how are you ready for jury trial and you haven't conferred with the state?
The order was ready.
No, I'm now, how are you ready? And you haven't conferred with them? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I confer with Mr.
I think this.
With Michael.
Ah,
It's
Okay. Oh, that's okay. Jason, you're ready to come in?
With him and I said, that they don't have a good case. So they wanna proceed.
Well, have you received an offer?
I did, George, and I don't think it was a good offer.
Well, no, I mean, the question is, have you received an offer? All right, Mr. Trinidad, do you need any time to think about the state's offer or no? All right, you want a jury trial? All right, State, how long do you expect this jury trial to last?
3 or 4 days.
All right. Mhm. All right, you're all going to be back here on August 8th. At 9 a.m. Not 9:05, 9 a.m.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to show that you've rejected the state's plea offer. The court will not accept any plea bargain agreements in this case without good cause. Otherwise, you have to plead open to the court. Do you understand? All right, thank you.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome. Oh, and Brittany, if you could do an acknowledgement of discovery for Mr. Leo. All right.
Judge, I texted you
Okay,
when I was leaving. I told him about that you would want the client to come here.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's gonna try to come today.
oh,
I
yes,
told him he's
tell,
in trial. and that
yes.
He'd be waiting around a long time,
Okay,
but just to let you know.
all right, thank you. Tell him Monday, maybe.
Well, I mean, I told him, like, probably talking to him, to set it out.
Mhm.
And he goes, well, this client needs to be on Monday or be out of town on Monday for,
Well, he can, he and his client can come, but they'll have to wait around.
that's what I told him. So I don't know, just let you.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm gonna take a brief break. Yeah, please be seated.
Very talked to you about getting kind of like that on the front. Supplement. It's already
said the
done,
same
and
thing.
the third one is-
Oh, okay, perfect.
All right, who is the prosecutor on Cardenas?
I am.
All right, have you had a chance to review his motion? Mhm.
I'm sorry.
All right, so I'm sorry to do this to. All right,
I'm confirming.
all right, if you all could confer on that,
Sure.
and then I'll take it up, and I promise you I will take it up today if you're all available for me to do it today.
Okay,
I can tell you right now, there's going to be a break
okay.
for the jury at noon
Okay.
or maybe sooner,
Okay.
because my understanding, this is the state's last witness.
I see.
And I think it'll take the defense some time to get their witnesses. So we may end up having a sharp break to give them time to do that.
Okay, very good, Judge. Did you want us to approach on the other issue was regarding the new, the supplemental NPR? I don't know if that's in front of the court yet.
Okay. Yes, she's given that to me as well.
Okay, Judge. I don't know if I can speak to that now, if you would rather I wait, but I just wanted to ask the court. I know that, you know, obviously this is a new allegation. It kind of changes quite a bit about what we're talking about.
All right, if you all would just confer and then I'll take it up at break.
Very good, Judge.
All right.
Thank you.
And where is the defense?
They're in the back room talking to a potential witness, Judge.
All right, tell them they need to be here now. And say, you can put your witness on the witness stand.
Yes, Judge.
Judge, sit down. It's okay.
All right. And state your witness.
It's that very good.
Judge, we have a couple of issues we think we need to address.
Okay.
Daniel, before you bring.
Yes. And we're on the record.
So Judge, we were just informed that the complaining witness was in a room with one of the witnesses that we had requested. And spoke to that officer about his testimony, what he remembered happening that night.
Mhm.
He spoke to the officer that's here. He said nobody was given any instructions as to not to talk about any testimony or potential testimony. He also indicated that he didn't remember anything. He was involved in the case, and that Mr. Specs proceeded to relay what he remembered and how the events took place prior to testifying.
Well, he needs to come in and testify to that off the record. I mean, on the record. Let's bring your complainant in and then we'll bring the officer in.
To Your Honor, the officer that we were informed is the officer that's on certain video is not the correct officer.
Okay.
So we're trying to locate who that officer is.
Sorry. Oh, no, just have a seat. All right, this is a hearing outside the presence of the jury, and it's to determine whether or not a video of this witness's statements, the complainant's statement would be allowed in. And defense, do you have any questions of the witness?
Your Honor, in regards to the video, we believe that I don't have any questions because the witness is available. The rule. Okay. Just reversing real quick. The night that you were found at the
Well,
scene.
just one second. Are you going to question the witness now? That's what
Yes,
I'm trying to,
yes.
because at first you were just
Right,
doing
no,
your
I am,
argument.
Judge.
So you're going to question the witness?
Yes.
All right, so the defense has some questions for you. You may begin.
In your testimony, you indicated that You remembered speaking with officers at the scene, correct? When they found you?
Yes,
Okay. You were asking questions. You remember making statements during that time where you thought you might die.
yes,
I have nothing further.
Is that all the questions? All right, then the court will hear argument.
Your Honor, the state would argue that he did testify earlier that he did not remember what he told the officers. He's saying that he remembers speaking with them, but he does not remember what he said because at the time he did believe that he was going to die.
All right, defense.
Your Honor, he has indicated on the record here right now that he does remember speaking to officers whenever he indicated that he was in fact dying or thought he was going to die. In addition, the rules regarding the dying declaration require that he be unavailable. He is clearly available and clearly remembers speaking to the officers.
And Judge,
And his memory, best would just need to be refreshed as to the statement.
All right, with regards to unavailable can also be not remembering. Is that correct?
It could be, Your Honor, determined if that's the case. However, he's indicated that he does remember.
All right, state.
Your Honor, he specifically he remembers the conversation, like he remembers speaking with them, but the actual substance of what he said, his actual statement, he did testify that he did not remember. So he would therefore be unavailable.
All right, any last argument from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, we just asked that he could have his memory refreshed as to the statement, and then he could be asked questions regarding that. To play it now would be bootstrapping what he has already testified to.
All right, has he had a chance to view the video?
He did have a chance to view it.
All right. Is there anything else from either side?
Not regarding that issue, Your Honor.
All right, then with regards to that issue, then based upon the evidence that the court has been presented to it on the record, states exhibit number 41 will be admitted.
It's states number 2, Judge. It was the first officer's second body cam.
You saying states exhibit number 2?
Yes, Judge.
All right, then states exhibit number 2 would be admitted. All right, let's bring.
Judge, if you want, I could just play it just to show the portions to defense. Just that it's just what he's saying. It's when EMS starts to take him away.
If you've already cleared it, it's admitted. So
Okay.
Previously, he with the other officer. Judge, we still have the other issue we need to discuss.
all right, and that issue would be.
The issue we brought to your attention of the witness talking to another officer violating the rule.
All right, so
That's the issue I just brought to your attention when we came in.
no, I understand that. So what are you requesting?
Well, at this point, we're trying to figure out what's the best course of action, Your Honor. I mean,
No, I mean, you're saying that the complainant has violated the rule. All right, so what are you requesting?
well, I mean, I believe it's something we should all discuss because either one thing would be to have him not testify at all, continuous, but I'm already in the middle of his testimony. So the only other option to me would be a mistrial at this point.
All right, the mistrial will be denied. Is there anything else?
And Your Honor, we'd just like to have a hearing on the record to determine what he's told this other officer.
All right, that's why I was asking everyone what questions you all had for the witness. Have them wait in the jury room. All right,
And Your Honor.
yes, you may go. You may ask your questions.
So just to be clear, Your Honor, my understanding was that hearing was regarding the exhibit only, not regarding everything else.
All right, you can ask whatever questions you want to ask counsel.
Mr. Specs, when you were brought down here to testify, where were you placed?
I was placed in a room.
Okay, were you placed in the room with anybody else?
Yes,
And when you were placed in this room, who were you told was in the room with you?
I was a officer.
Okay, were you given any instructions when you were placed in that room?
No,
You were not, okay?
to wait, to wait. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
To wait.
just to wait. Did you speak with that officer?
Yes.
And what did you speak to that officer about?
Um, he had told me that he was one of the officers. He believed that took me to the end, right? I mean, took me to the hospital or went with them.
Okay, did he tell you that, or did one of the ADAs tell you that that's what they thought he was?
No, he told me that.
Now, did you speak to him then?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
What I told him, I told him that I said I didn't know that, like I couldn't remember.
Did you tell him that you were the victim in the case?
Yes, yes, I did tell him that.
Okay, what else did you tell him?
He asked, was I dispatched? And I said, no, I'm a witness. I'm the victim.
Did you tell him what you remember happening that night?
That night, I told him that I wasn't sure. I said it seemed like it was nighttime. I said, but when this all happened, I remember it was getting like it was day. It was still daytime, like it was getting night. And he was like, yeah, he was telling me when his work shift was.
So what else did you tell him about what happened that night?
I told him that I barely made it.
Okay, did you tell him that some guy came, started yelling at you? That some guy fired at you?
Yeah, briefly. Yes, I did. I did tell him that.
And did you tell him that you were dumping stuff behind his house?
No, I did not tell him that.
So you didn't tell him that part of the story?
No, no,
Okay, you did tell him that you fired at him?
no.
The other- What else did you tell him about what happened?
That was it.
So when you were back there and first put in the room, nobody told you anything about not talking about your testimony?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yes, whenever you were first put in the room, nobody told you anything about not talking about your testimony?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. What are you requesting?
Your Honor, at this time, we're requesting that this witness's testimony be struck from the record because he's violated the rule. He wasn't even given instruction about the rule, and we've been in trial for several days here at this point. That does not occur. We're asking for a mistrial.
All right, that will be denied. Can you bring the jurors in?
And Your Honor, we just like to have an instruction to the state to be instructing their witnesses in order to place them under the rule.
State,
Because at this point, it could lead to a mistrial because they are not advising them.
State, you need to let your witnesses know that the rule has been invoked and they are not to discuss any testimony with each other or anyone else.
And I apologize, Your Honor. I thought that he had already been told that.
All right, let's bring them in.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated.
Yeah.
State,
Your Honor, permission to publish state
are you offering state's exhibit number 2 into evidence?
would offer state's exhibit number 2.
Defense, your objections are noted.
And just to be clear, Your Honor, we will make sure that those objections are noted. Yes, thank you.
All right, state's exhibit number 2 will be admitted.
Yes.
Change it to.
There you go.
He's alive. He's breathing. 360, 30 minutes real quick. We got a patient with the gunshot wound. Sir. Right here, sir. What's going on? This guy shot at me. Who shot you? Maybe he thought it was somebody else. I'm sorry? There's a house in the corner, right? And a random guy shot at you? The guy from the house? Where you shot at? In the window, but from my eyes out. You got assaulted? Yes, I can't see. You can't see? I see your eyes all swollen. Where you shot at? In the chest? He shot at me. Are you hit? Are you hit? My eyes got hit by, I guess, the glass. I don't know. What's the next? You don't feel good? We'll have you in somewhere, okay? Where you, besides your eyes, what else is hurt? Did you crash through the window or you just? You shot the window. And then did you just walk out of your truck or what? I fell out of my truck. You fell out? Bandits, we got one over there near the fence, watch out. I'm not sure where you shot at. Where you okay, let's see where you shot at. Really breathe. I'm gonna cut your shirt, right? I'm gonna cut your shirt off, okay? Let's see where you shot at. I'm trying to see where you shot at. I'm gonna cut off your shirt, okay? Can't barely breathe. I got injury. It's okay. But I can't see. I'm trying to figure out where you shot at. I'm trying to figure out where you shot at. Hey, man, you alright? Stay with me, man. Stay with me. You're alright? Talking, okay? What's your name, partner? Zachary? Zachary, what happened? It's like I shot in my truck. You shot in your truck and you're in here? Truck. This is your friend's truck? Yeah. He shot at it because I was throwing some dirt and he thought it was dumping trash. Well, then it wasn't there. You lost the yeah, I don't see one. I'm not sure where you hit at. Okay. No, but where you shot at on your buddy? I don't know if I am. I don't think so. You got blood over your mouth. Where you shot it? From my nose and one nose. No, it has to be more than that one. This looks like severe bleeding. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you shot it. Might be down here. He's so barely. You messed me up, man. You messed me up. You're still with me, man. You're still with me, all right? Let me check on the car. See what's in there. When you guys get to it, you can start looking up every day. This, yeah, something to drink. This elevate his head with this. Let's try to move his head up. Hey man. I'm trying to elevate your head, okay? Still look good, man. I'm gonna just clean up your shirt, okay? Give me some head. Yeah, something. Hey. Anything. You want this? You have a better knife? Yeah, something to drink.
By the way. Yeah, something to drink, please. I'm gonna mess up. Shut it, man. I'm trying to figure out where you shut it. The grass full of my face, man. Thank you. It's full of my face. We haven't looked at the shut one. You want to tell the EMS? Yes, severe trauma to the face, the head. Possible lacerations on his head as well. 360. Okay, so our victim was shot up, but I don't see any hits of him as of now. He has severe face trauma. We're still checking for any bullet wounds, but just severe head trauma, face trauma. What's your name, man? Zachary? Yeah, something that you believe. Hey, EMS is gonna come hook you up, man. We got to get checked out, okay? Yes, but yeah, something. Oh, we see it. Where you face this way? Where you face this way? That might be. I don't know what that is. It might be a bullet. That's what I'm thinking. It might be a bullet. Where? On your face. On your face, man. Oh my god. Just stay still. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. I can't see. Some possible gunshot wound to the left. My area. 360. That'd be a possible shot to the left eye area. Do you see anything that you? You're right. You're right. You're right. You must be here shortly, man. They're pretty close. Yeah, something. Watch out, man! Don't fall. Hey, you guys, possible gunshot wound to the head. Yeah. The eye. Okay. Yeah, he's still talking. Severe trauma. It looks like the bullet is lodged in his eyebrow area. They kind of shut off just to try to see his gunshot wound, but the only one we saw is in his face. No, don't touch it. Don't touch your face, okay? Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Hey, so drink. Gatorade. It's like the shirt, man. You guys will check out shirt, man. They're here, man. They're here, man. They're here. Don't worry about his face. It looks like the bullets lodged right here in his head right here, man. You see that? Yeah. Yeah, all right. You're all right, buddy. Just keep talking, man. Keep talking. Keep talking. He's all right. He's gonna help you out, man. Something to drink, please. Yes, man. EMS is here. They're gonna help you out. Give me 1 second, man. Just keep on talking. Just keep on talking. EMS is here to check. They're gonna help you out. You got something to drink, please. Come on, man. EMS is gonna take care of you first, okay? Something to drink, please. Don't touch your head, though. Don't touch your head, man. Don't touch your head. Just come on, Zach. Let me get him Gatorade. Yeah, give him Gatorade. Nothing. I don't have anything. See if there. You see? Okay. Over trying to see. That's the only place I missed the gunshot wound. You know, I'm sure wonders. Really breathe, please, something to drink. I'm in pain, a lot of pain. You're all right, man. You're all right. You're gonna be all right. These guys take care of you. Need something to drink. You feel anything on your legs right about that, buddy? Did you get ejected from the vehicle, man, or you crawled out of the car? I fell out. You got ejected, or you fell out? Says what?
Can you pause?
Yes, what?
All right, we're pausing the video. There's to be no viewing of cell phones. All right, you may continue.
Draw the camera and get your ID from there. Okay, something to change. Yeah. Yeah, just relax, okay? You're here. No, man, don't move, bro. You're here, don't be out, okay? Yeah, please get something to drink to me, please. Let's let them do what they gotta do first, and then we'll get you what you need, okay? Rain.
You heard what happened? So yeah, he was driving. I guess you said you some mud. You thought you were throwing some mud at some guy, some dirt at some dude. And some guy came out of nowhere and shot at me. You know how he looks like? He's Hispanic, Mexicano, bro. How old is he? 30s, 40s, 50s? Maybe 30s. 30s. Okay. Was he driving just walking? He was walking and he was standing up. Down there. You know what he was wearing? Down there. I don't know. You know what he was wearing? Something to drink. Did he have something crazy? Did he have short hair, long hair? Was he bald? You remember? Yeah, was he heavy set? Was he skinny build now? Yeah, hair would be slim. Slim build? Did he have tattoos? You don't know if he had tattoos? Okay. I have this on fast on the first, please. Please save me with 363. Yes, okay, sir. Our shooter was on foot. He's a Hispanic male in his 30s, unknown description of clothing. He has short hair and slim build. You think it's a gunshot one, or do you think it's that's a gunshot one right now? What does that on his eye look like? Right here? Yeah. Both the bullet wounds? Or is it, you think it's just the glass is shattered? Yes. That on his left eye, you think it's just glass? Please, something to drink, boss, please. Is everybody in the program? Please, I'm thirsty, please. I'm thirsty. Anything, anybody, what happened? Do you remember what happened? Yeah, it was so fast, a guy shot at me. He got over it, open trash, but I was only doing dirt on your cheek. Please, something to drink. John. You guys get back off. You need to go the other way. Gotta get back off. Please go the other way.
I paused the video at 2:44:30. Zach, do you remember what happened after you were taken away from that scene?
No, I don't.
Would it surprise you that you were able to speak with a detective at the hospital that night?
No, I did not remember that at all.
And what injuries did you suffer as a result of this?
I said that my nose was broken. And my skull fracture. Gunshot wound above my eye. And my head. I had central nervous system damage and ocular nerve damage on my right eye.
Now, how was your vision affected? Were you declared legally blind?
Yes, I'm legally blind. My right eye is completely black, and my left eye is blurry.
And if you could speak up, Zach, just because it is difficult to hear you.
I said my right eye is completely blackened, my left eye is blurry.
Now, did you know the person who shot you?
No, I did not.
Had you ever seen him in the area?
No, not at all.
Were you the first person to fire a shot that night?
No,
How far away did you live from where you were dumping the dirt that night?
I live about like 5 or 6 streets down. So I lived in the same neighborhood, but a different street. About a couple blocks, I guess.
Pass the witness.
All right, defense,
Can I proceed, Your Honor?
yes.
Mr. Specs, my name's Leo Gonzalez. I represent Roger Saucedo. I have a couple questions for you, okay?
Okay.
If you don't understand something, let me know, okay? Mr. Specs, what was the address you said you lived at during this time?
Fairgreen, 5913 Fairgreen Street,
How long had you lived at that address?
for like about a few months.
Where were you living prior to that?
I was living on 12016 Manzanita Street,
I'm sorry,
Manzanita Street, 12016 Manzanita Street.
Manzanilla?
Yes,
Okay. And is that the address that was on your driver's license?
I believe so.
So you said 12016 Manzanita?
Yes,
Okay. How long did you live at that address?
about 3 years, I believe.
Okay.
3
And so when you changed and you said staying at the fairground address, you hadn't changed your driver's license yet?
No,
Okay. You talked about earlier, you were on parole, correct?
I was completing it. Yes.
But you were still on parole, correct?
Yes.
When did you get paroled?
And I think 17. Yeah, 2017.
Okay. And so your parole was to end in 2018?
Yes,
Were you aware that there was a warrant for your arrest for a parole violation?
no, I didn't. I wasn't.
Okay. You said you lived around the area?
Yes,
Where were you earlier that day while you were working?
I was in Alamo Ranch and I was in Valley High.
You were in Alamo Ranch area?
Yes, and Valley High area.
Okay, so you drove all the way back almost to where you resided and then decided to dump this whatever you're dumping?
Correct.
And why did you pick this location?
I picked that location because it was nearby. And the backyard where I live, it was just concrete. It didn't have anywhere to actually dump it. It was a townhome.
Okay, so you decided to dump somewhere else besides your house.
Yes,
You weren't just getting rid of trash, you were dumping full bags of soil?
yes, I was sweeping soil and dumping one bag of soil. Yes,
So when you were doing that, how long did it take you to get rid of the stuff that was there?
not long, maybe about like a few minutes or seconds. I'm not sure.
You had an encounter then with Mr. Saucedo, correct?
Yes,
And he told you to stop, right?
yes, when I was almost finished. Yes.
Yes. Well, my question is, he told you to stop, right?
Well, he told me to get the F away from here.
Because you were dumping there?
Yes,
And you knew you weren't supposed to be dumping there.
correct.
Did it bother you that he approached you and told you to stop dumping there?
No,
It didn't bother you at all?
no, because I thought it was a misunderstanding.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was a misunderstanding
What was the misunderstanding at that point?
that maybe he thought I was just some guy dumping, like, I don't know, just large amounts of trash. But maybe I didn't stay around there.
But at that point, you were some guy who was dumping stuff in his backyard, right?
No, not in his backyard.
I mean, right outside his fence.
No, not right outside his fence.
So you never had a conversation over the fence?
No,
Um, did you see his mother out there?
no,
You don't remember his mother yelling at you?
no. She didn't.
And I'm sorry, we talked a little bit about you being on parole. What were you on parole for?
Or evasion of arrest.
In a vehicle?
Yes,
What else? Was that it?
yes.
So you're saying that this happened very quickly.
Yes,
When you were out there and you saw the video, did you remember mentioning anything about shooting that night?
when I saw the video,
This video we just watched, we just heard.
yes,
Okay. Do you remember saying anything about shooting that night?
I believe so.
So the video we just watched, did you ever say the words "I shot" that night?
And I'm gonna object.
When we were where?
I'm sorry. There's an objection. So when there's an objection, that means you need to stop talking. All right, what's your objection?
Your Honor, he's earlier testified that he didn't remember what was said that night.
All right, that'll be overruled. You can ask your question.
Thank you, Your Honor. In the video that we just heard, you remember hearing yourself say anything about shooting that night?
When? Like, could you clarify? Like
Well,
when?
we were just listening to a video of you found at the scene. You heard that, right?
Yes,
Okay. And when you were asking for water and Gatorade, and they were talking to you, you remember that, right? The video they just had playing right now.
when I hear it on the video, yes,
Okay, so you heard it, right?
yes,
Okay. Do you remember hearing just right now, within the last 10 minutes, anything about you shooting that night?
I didn't remember at the time.
No, my question is based upon what you've heard just recently in this video, did you say anything about shooting that night?
On the video,
Uh-huh.
no,
Okay. You're telling us now on your testimony that you do remember shooting, right?
yes,
You didn't tell the officers that night though, right? That you shot?
because I wasn't,
Wait, just let me get to my next question. You didn't tell them that night, right?
I don't believe so.
I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
Okay. And you didn't tell them that night because you were worried about what might happen because you knew you were on parole, right? I mean, you were worried about them finding a weapon on you because you were on parole, right?
No,
You weren't?
it's fighting for my life.
You had several boxes of ammunition in your car, right?
I had ammunition. I don't know how many.
May I approach witness? Young?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'll withdraw that. You had two vehicles, you said? I'm sorry, two firearms in your vehicle?
Yes,
Okay. And you had ammunition for both of those firearms?
no,
You did not.
no,
Okay. If there was ammunition found for both of those, would that surprise you?
I had ammunition for one of those weapons. Because one was an actual weapon. The other one was not a real weapon. It was a blank shooter. Did not release bullets. It had pellets.
Did you, we had somebody come in and testify that that weapon actually fired. That would surprise you?
That would very surprise me.
So was that the weapon that didn't have a serial number on it?
No, I don't know if it did. I would imagine it did.
You had one, where did you have both of those weapons?
Behind the seat in a green bag.
Both of them in a green bag?
Yes,
Now, where was that green bag when you got out of the car?
it was behind the seat,
Okay, when you got out of the car after you were shot, where was it?
behind the seat.
Okay, it stayed behind the seat.
Yes,
So, do you know that it was found outside the vehicle?
they were found outside the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
No, I did not know that.
So when the officers came across you and found the bag near you, how did it get there? I'm sorry?
I don't know. I know that I reached for a weapon to try to get away.
Now, yeah, you talked about that a little while ago. You reached for a weapon and you said you fired. You fired before you closed the door, right? That's what you said?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, then what, tell us what you said then.
I said I fired while I was when he kept shooting and I turned the ignition on. I tried to reach behind the seat in the bag and just grab the weapon. And I shot back to try to scare him off. And then I stumped the gas and took off.
So the door was still open at that point.
It wouldn't shut.
No, your driver's side door.
No, it wouldn't shut completely. It shut, but it didn't lock because of the bullets or whatever happened with it.
Were you shooting through the door? Through your window?
Through the busted glass.
Okay, so you're saying after the glass has been broken?
Yes,
Okay, so you're in your car, you said shooting from the window at that point.
yes,
And you said you shot several times.
I believe so. I know I fired it. And then I tried to take off.
You were asked a question about talking to the officers at the hospital. Do you remember that? You remember being asked that?
Oh,
They just asked you a little while ago that you talked to an officer at the hospital. You remember that?
when they asked me, did I talk to one?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
No,
Okay. So you don't remember telling officers that there were 4 Mexicans that were involved?
no.
How long were you in the hospital, sir?
I think about like 3 weeks, I believe. Close to 3 weeks.
3 weeks. And then did you get arrested because of your parole warrant after you were released?
I know they just came and got me with handcuffs and took me in. They didn't tell me the reason why.
And so did you get released at some point from custody?
From the jail?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. So after you released from the hospital, they took you to jail. Is that right?
when I was released from, yeah, well, they came and put handcuffs on me, they just took me. They just took me to jail.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understand. You were at the hospital. They came and took you to jail.
Yeah,
Okay, and that was, you weren't sure what it was for, but have you learned it was because of your parole warrant?
later, yeah.
Okay. And so you were in custody for how long?
About 2 months.
2 months you were in custody. After you were released from custody, where did you go?
I went to live with my pastor. And then
I'm sorry, where was that?
I went to stay with my pastor for a few nights.
Okay, and where was that?
And that was at Windwalk.
I'm sorry?
Windwalk,
Windwalk?
yes.
Okay. What happened to the house that you were staying at?
And after, what happened to it?
Yes,
It's still there.
Okay, did you ever go back to stay there?
Yes,
Okay, so you resided back there at that location?
Yeah, I'm gonna object to relevance.
Sustained.
yes,
That location that you were residing at, still within a certain amount of distance from where the incident took place, correct?
I'm gonna object to relevance.
That'll be overruled.
about
Correct.
5 streets.
I'm sorry?
It's in the same neighborhood.
Okay, and so you went back and lived there after the incident, correct?
Yeah, yes, because I never place to stay.
Okay, but my point is, you live there, right?
Yes,
How long did you live at that address?
Objection relevance.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I'm getting there. If I can just get a little leeway.
All right, that objection will be sustained.
or about.
Excuse me. When I make a ruling, if you don't understand my ruling on whether or not you can speak or not speak, just let the court know. I sustain his objection. That means you're not to answer the question.
Okay,
Defense, you may ask your next question.
Did you ever get interviewed about what took place by police in the next 4 or 5 years since it happened?
no,
So they talked to you that night at the hospital and you never talked to anybody else again, right?
I didn't remember.
No, I guess my question though is nobody came and asked you, hey, we want to talk to you about what happened that night.
No, they didn't.
Okay. So you didn't provide him any new information about what you remembered.
I'm gonna object to relevance.
That'll be overruled.
Is that correct?
Correct.
When did you finally talk to somebody about what you remember happening?
I didn't.
Okay, didn't you meet with the district attorney's office last week?
Yes. That was-
And was that the first time anybody else had talked to you about what had taken place?
Yes,
Is that where they played the video for you? And they played the audio for you to try to refresh your memory?
yes,
And they met with you again yesterday or today about your testimony to prepare you?
yes. They-
Since the incident, are you working, sir?
No,
And you said you were residing at the fairground address now?
no,
Okay, what address you say you're living at? Or you said Central San Antonio, correct?
yes.
Are you we're living with family, friends?
No, I'm living at a disabled facility.
And how long have you lived at that facility?
About a year. Been close to a year.
So prior to that, you were living,
In Dallas,
I'm sorry,
in Dallas.
in Dallas?
Yes.
Fast witness, Sean.
State.
That night, when you spoke to officers, were you more worried about being in trouble or about dying?
I don't object to counsel testifying.
All right, that objection will be sustained.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
Is this witness excused or subject to recall?
Excuse, Your Honor.
All right. All right, you may step down.
For me?
Yes.
State rest, Judge.
All right. The state has rested. Defense?
May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take an early lunch break. So I'm going to, I will give you all a choice. I can either have you all back here at 12:30 or either 1 o'clock. Because I know sometimes it takes a while to walk around to find a place to eat. So would you all prefer 1 o'clock or 12:30? 12:30? All right. So you all have heard some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to start deliberating internally or with anyone else. You're not allowed to view anything. If you see anything, ignore it. There's to be no investigation. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside the courtroom. All right. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. And Mr. Locke, I know who you're here for. So if you will call and have Jason come down.
I will.
And
My
is your
class in
client?
the hallway.
All right, just if you'll have Jason come
I
down.
will. Thank you.
Possibly, but no, here's the thing, they will be here, I'll get the information that I need, and then if they want to do a proper, so you can take the lunch break. All right. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right. So, excuse me, counsel,
Yes, Judge.
so you all have the plan on how to
We're working.
discover who this witness is?
Yes, Judge.
All right, so we'll be back at 12:30-ish. We'll
Okay.
see if you all have who you need.